Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the John A. Logan Community College IGEN Virtual Job Fair event. Today, we will be hearing from 7 presenters. Each presenter will speak for approximately 5 to 10 minutes to give you some information about their company, and will highlight the services they provide or the job openings they currently have. Today's session is being recorded and will be made available on the Illinois workNet YouTube channel for you to refer to later. Now I am pleased to introduce Dana Wynn with the Illinois Green Economy Network. Dana?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. This event is a different time for kind of aimed at this different region for Carterville, Carbondale, Southern Illinois job seekers. We're looking to directly connect employers in the solar industry to our project, expanding the solar workforce through the Illinois Community College system. This is like the 4th and final event for this month that we're hosting, and we're going to hear from some really great partners in the solar industry and potential employers. So please ask any questions and enjoy the presentation. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that, Dana. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump right into our presentations here. So the first organization that we have up to present is Midwest Renewable Energy Association, and I do believe we have Ellen on the line. Ellen, are you available to present?
I am.
Excellent. You can begin whenever you're ready, Ellen.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. This is a great event, and I'm super excited to be here and talk to all of you about the MREA and what we do. So the Midwest Renewable Energy Association is an organization up in Custer, Wisconsin, although we provide training and other opportunities all over the Midwest. And again, my name is Ellen Barlis, and I'm a project manager for the MREA, and I focus specifically on workforce development. Next slide, please. So the MREA was founded a little more than 30 years ago. We're a nonprofit educational organization. As I said, we're headquartered in Custer, Wisconsin, which, just in case anybody doesn't know, is right in the middle of the state, kind of near Stevens Point. We also have an office in Milwaukee. And as I said, we provide training all over the Midwest. We promote renewable energy, energy efficiency, sustainable living through education and demonstration. And if you look at this slide, on the bottom left corner is a picture of our building on our campus in Custer. That big solar array there is a rooftop canopy for EV charging. And the right bottom slide is a picture of our annual event that happens every June. It's called the Energy Fair. And if you haven't been, you should come because it's a real good time. Next slide, please. As I said, the MREA is primarily focused on providing training. We mostly do training in solar, although we have other opportunities. And right now we offer training in 3 different formats. We are offering in-person training again after some bumps in the road with COVID. And so our in-person training happens mostly on our campus in Custer, but we do provide training all over the Midwest. We're getting ready to provide a training down in Michigan City, Indiana next week. We offer independent study, which means that if there's some subject or group of subjects that you or a group you're a part of wants to know about in solar and we can provide training, we can do that. We contract with groups, colleges, individuals all over the Midwest to provide any kind of training. And then we also offer a full palette of online training. Our online training is instructor-led, meaning that we have live Zoom sessions. pre-recorded instruction, and we always have live office hours with all of our online training. And this is just a picture of our training platform. All of our training is at our website at midwestrenew.org/training. That'll get you to where you need to go to learn about it. Next slide, please. We offer nearly 20 courses in all topics of solar PV, wind, and general renewable energy. We are a NABSEP certified training provider, which means that our courses are all aligned with NABSEP. Our most popular training is the NABSEP PV Associate Program. And so that training is designed to provide an entry-level credential through the NABSEP organization. NABSEP actually stands for North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners, and you can read about their organization at nabsep.org. NABSEP is basically the certifying body of the solar industry, meaning that if you receive a credential or a certification from NABSEP, that means that you've had experience and taken coursework to earn that. Next slide, please. This is a little breakdown of the NABSEP PV Associate credential. This is the credential that most people start with in the solar industry. So on the left there, you can see the pathway of our courses. So there are 3 courses: basic PV, site assessment, and system design. And once you have successfully completed those courses, you're eligible to take the NABSEP Associate exam. And of course, if you pass it, you receive that credential. And people ask me every day, why should I take a NABSEP Associate courses and sit for the exam, especially technical college students who are already doing coursework in solar? And the answer is that, as the solar market grows, and it is growing, having a NABSEP credential sets you apart to your employer. So what it means is, if you have this credential, hey, I have done the basic work, to get this credential through this governing body. And once you've passed the NABSEP Associate exam, you are qualified to design, sell, install, or maintain solar systems under supervision. So this is the entry-level benchmark credential that I think employers are looking for when they look at prospective employees. Next slide, please. Recently, the MREA developed a really awesome website. The web address is solarenergy.jobs. This is a Midwest-wide solar career resource center where we've linked all of our training opportunities through our partner technical and community colleges all over the Midwest. And we also have an interactive job board where employers all over the Midwest are actively posting jobs in the solar and renewable energy industry. And this is just a picture of one of our job listings from an employer who's looking for employees in Northern Illinois. And so if you go to solarenergy.jobs, you can have a look at all of these resources that are available, especially the job board where you can see active jobs posted. Next slide, please. So that's my presentation. And again, I'm Ellen Barlas. This is my contact information. If you're interested in training or any of the things we talked about here, please contact me and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Oh, that's right. I'm presenting for Arch Electric. So Arch Electric is a company up in Plymouth, Wisconsin. That's their headquarters, although they have an office in Madison and they do work all over the Midwest. And Arch Electric is currently hiring solar installers in Illinois. And so their website, which is here, if you copy and paste that or type it into your search bar, you'll come to their careers page and you can see the jobs that are available there. The jobs in Illinois are kind of in the northern Illinois region, but that doesn't necessarily mean there won't be others upcoming. But this is just an example of a great company that is really busy and actively searching for people who are interested in the solar industry and in working in jobs that are available right now.
Do you think the energy, most of the jobs in the northern hemisphere, because they got more land and space than like in Chicago, because we got more buildings? That might, is that the reason why it's more jobs in the Milwaukee and the Indiana area?
I'm not really in a position to answer that. I really don't know. I mean, I think the more populous areas obviously have more. I think it's just more people, more homes and businesses that are, putting solar on their homes or businesses. And so it kind of makes sense. This company, like I said, they just happen to have two really big installs they're doing in the northern Illinois region. And it just makes sense that because that's a more populous area, there's more solar being installed there.
Okay.
It looks like there's a few additional questions that were entered in the chat by Dana. Ellen, I don't know if you could elaborate on them. First one is, does the cost for training with MREA include the NABSEP test?
Oh, I see it. I'm sorry. I had to scroll down a little bit. Yes and no. So if you take the courses a la carte, meaning you pay for each one individually, the cost of the test is $150. And that cost is the cost that NABSEP charges us to administer the test. So in other words, when you take the test through MREA, because we're a certified NABSEP provider, that cost is passed along to the person who is taking the test, and it's $150. If you take the courses through, say, a solar training academy, which is kind of our all-inclusive preparation for the NABSEP associate exam, the cost is rolled up into the cost of tuition for that set of courses. And so, and then to answer your question about whether employers help to pay for it, all the time. There are employers who enroll students in our training and they pay for the whole thing. Sometimes they split it. That's kind of depends on the employer. And so if an employer is interested in a new employee being trained, they often send them to the MREA for training. And same story, if they're interested in that person having a NABSEP credential, then they pay for the exam. But that's a case-by-case basis. Does anybody have any other questions?
Are there any scholarships available for you to take the classes if you don't have, you're not financially suitable to pay for those classes?
Yep, there are scholarships, and we just recently started a whole new giving program called the Rise Up Scholarship Campaign. And so if you are interested, or anybody on this call is interested, you can contact me and I can direct you right to where you would apply for that. And you can always reach out to the training team. And that's an easy thing to do just by going to our website. But I'd certainly be happy to talk to anybody about the potential for a scholarship.
Okay, cool. Now my last question is in regards into like designing the solar panels. Do you have to have your NABSEP, pass your NABSEP before you can get into designing? or you can get into it if you already got previous AutoCAD experience.
Again, that is entirely up to the employer. And so, you know, if the potential employer is satisfied with that previous experience and they're willing to, you know, provide the rest of the training in terms of design, then great. If not, you know, they'll probably provide that training or direct the person to the training. But like I said, this is, you know, it's basically up to the specific employer. And, you know, just as an aside, I work with solar contractors every day. You know, I run an internship program where students in two-year colleges intern with companies, and most of these companies are very interested in motivated people. You know, they want people to come and learn how to do whatever the job is. And so, you know, if you have a skill, I think that, you know, you should make that apparent to the new employer and see where it goes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your questions.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that presentation, Ellen. And I did go back one slide so you could get Ellen's contact information, and then also see the MREA's website. You'll see there at the bottom right hand side there as well. So if you want to jot those down real quick for anybody that's interested, please feel free to do so. If you're not able to, for whatever reason, we're also recording the session, so we'll be uploading it later, and you'll be able to see all the information that's presented here today as well. So thank you so much for your time, Ellen. Much appreciated. Our next presenter will be Patrick, I do believe, with the new growth group. Patrick, are you available to present? Sure
am. Thank you.
Absolutely. You can begin whenever you're ready.
Great. To start with, I'm going to throw a copy of my slides. It's in the chat. There's a link there if you want to download it. So feel free to do that. Feel free to not. So that's up to you. My name is Patrick Britton. I am a project manager for the new growth group. We are a consulting firm focused really on workforce development issues. We're located in Cleveland, Ohio, but we have projects, as you can see on that map, across the country. And in this case, obviously, we're working with IGEN to really promote and build the connections around a renewable energy workforce, especially in Illinois. Now, I'm going to be focusing a lot on some of the higher level policy stuff and lots of data. So the companies and the partners that you have connections here with today are really going to give you a lot more information about specific jobs and opportunities. I kind of want to give you a sense of the entire industry and especially how it looks here in Illinois. So if you go to the next slide, you're going to see a bunch of graphs that I share today, and really what those are, or I guess what I really want you to notice about it is that the use of renewable energy is growing, right? We know that that's true. We know that we see that happening, but I really want to give you a really good sense that this industry is on the rise, right? So, for example, in this graph, you can see that through 2050, projections for world energy use is basically all renewable is where growth is going to happen, right? So we will still see gas and coal and nuclear power, but really the green boxes there that are, or the green bars that are getting bigger and bigger over time, that's just frankly what we expect to see as growth. And so if you go to the next slide, in the United States, what you see in terms of additional energy capacity, right? This would be the added capacity over a set period of time. The major growth there is coming from renewables. You can see the majority of the plants, almost all, not all, but almost all of the power plants that are being built in the United States are renewable. They're either solar or wind. There is a small number that are natural gas, but as we keep going forward, we're just going to see it's more solar, it's more wind. If you go to the next slide, and part of what is driving a lot of this is the way that we are currently using power. So in Illinois, I want you to see how power is consumed, right? So the sources of power, the sources of energy, what's happening there. So this is less about who is using power, whether it's industry or residents or commercial buildings, but a lot more about what the source of that power is. And right now, only about 7.4% of power in Illinois is coming from renewable energy. We think certainly that needs to change, and the state government also thinks that needs to change. So the big thing that just happened, you may already be aware, the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act was passed by the legislature, signed by the governor. And what it basically does is it restarts solar incentives. So from funds that had been mostly exhausted, individuals, for example, have opportunities to get some support in putting solar panels or getting more solar power. We see that there's increase in funding for, frankly, a lot of different programs, contracting programs, worker programs, solar savings for low-income residents. But the bottom line, from my perspective, and as you look at it from this sort of policy level, is that there is the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act requires that 40% of statewide energy production come from renewable energy, right? So you see that graph, 7.4, or that the picture there, 7.4% currently comes from renewables, and the goal is to get that to 40%, right? And we know that the best way to do that is going to be using, well, mostly solar and wind projects. Now, the other thing that we expect, maybe at this point it's a hope, but what is out there is that the federal government, the Biden administration's proposed 2 bills right now, the Build Back Better bill and the infrastructure bill. And both of those have a lot of money for renewable energy. Those include tax credits, they include installation credits and workforce development issues. And frankly, there's a lot in there. And depending on what survives, we even see that there's, for example, a tax credit proposed for purchasing, for those who purchase electric bikes. So we don't know federally what's going to stay, what's going to go, what's frankly, hopefully going to happen, or even will happen, but the focus is around renewables. So if you go to the next slide for me. Another way to look at this potential for growth is this map. So there's something called, I think it's the Energy Atlas. Yeah, the US Energy Atlas from EIA.gov. You can go there and you can play around with it to see. This is basically all of the power plants generating power in Illinois that are renewable. Right, so I didn't include coal and some of the other ones, but the yellow are solar, the dark gray are wind, and the blue are hydroelectric. If you go to the next slide, I sort of made this a little, I cut that graph in half and really put sort of the Chicagoland area, just so you could see the diversity of those and where they're sort of popping up. Again, the gray is wind, the yellow is solar, and the blue is hydroelectric. And these are the plants that are producing power. What I want you to see here is this is going to get more. There's going to be more. This is going to get bigger. There's going to be more of this happening because it's a lot more from a regulatory perspective. It's a lot more accessible to add solar and wind projects than it is to add, for example, a coal plant or a fossil fuel burning plant. And so we're going to see as these incentives keep going up, those needs are going to keep rising, and you're going to see that there's options for increasing. So if you go to the next one, this is labeled slightly wrong. It should be solar companies in Illinois. But what you can see are a couple of maps. These are companies related to solar in the middle box in Illinois, on the right in the St. Louis area, and on the left in the Chicago area. These are installers, these are manufacturers, these are banks that provide funding for it. These are companies that are involved in solar, right? Specifically, this is solar. And there's a lot, there's already a lot, and there are going to be more. I just frankly expect this to explode with activity in the next few years. So specifically then we'll switch to the next slide. You'll see some things about the jobs. So, and these are some selected green occupations. This is from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is a nationwide projection, right? And projections of data like this are notoriously untrustworthy and notoriously straight line. So you can expect though, certainly the expectation is that green jobs, these ones, solar voltaic, solar photovoltaic installers, all the way down to conservation scientists. We just expect renewable energy jobs to grow in the United States and in Illinois. We expect them to just grow over time. If you switch to the next slide, we'll look a little more specifically here in Illinois. We're able to pull the number of jobs that were posted. So we went to September of 2016 through September of 2020, and even a little beyond that. But you can see these are the number of jobs uniquely posted that reference the term solar. You don't need to see the specifics of these numbers. You don't need to see the specifics of these dots. What I'd like you to see is, or notice, is that September 2016, the number's about 200. And in September of 2020, the number is about 800. And I want you to see specifically that growth, right? This is growing and it's going to get even bigger. Again, we have large scale policy level things that are going to make this grow. If we go to the next slide, you'll see, again, we'll look even more specifically. This is for solar photovoltaic installer jobs. This is from 2016 through 2020 and then projected again beyond into 2025. Again, these specific numbers are less important in my mind than the idea that in 2016, there were 210 jobs for PV installers, and in 2025, we expect there to be about 360, not accounting for these recent legislative moves, right? So it takes time for projections to catch up to what we're seeing. It's also taking time for companies to figure out exactly what they want to do with some of these new things. And what we're sort of hearing from the employer side is that the demand is pretty high for projects. And so we expect when there's high demand for projects that there is also high demand for workers. If you would go to the next slide for me. I pulled this off specifically for HVAC mechanics and installers. So this is data from Illinois, and this is, again, not exactly specifically important to know what those numbers are, but rather that in 2018, there were about 8,200 jobs, a little more than that, in HVAC in Illinois. And then in 2028, they expect that to grow by a couple hundred, right? So that's about 8,700 is that second graph, which is basically to say there's growth here. And there's growth across the board in all different job categories related to this. And we're seeing that the whole industry overall is expected to grow. All right, and then the final slide here, basically what I want to say is that the future is bright. You'll have to pardon my jokes. My small children don't let me make as many great jokes anymore. They tell me my jokes are corny, so you get to hear them professionally. Yeah, so renewable energy's future looks pretty bright here. This is a graph looking at what a government lab projects over different scenarios over the next 30 years or so. So on the far left, you'll see this near term, and this is sort of the mix of how we generate power in the United States. And they expect it that 2024 you can look at as pretty much right now. That's the far left. If we continue doing the things that we're doing right now, if we continue a straight line projection, we don't expect any changes, then the next graph over is business as usual. And in that graph, you see that this number of solar projects, the way that we generate power in this country, solar shoots up, wind grows a little bit, and some of the fossil fuel decreases, right? So coal specifically. Now, if you look at the next 2 and 3 of those are just different various kinds of scenarios. If we focus more on doing it faster, that one in the middle is where you get. If we specifically try to eliminate a large portion of fossil fuels, that's that fourth from the left graph. Both of those look the same in terms of solar and wind, right? So there's huge capacity here for us to grow that. And then the final one is if we really push to electrify, right? And if we try and use that as our operating assumption around how we will produce energy in this country, then what that means is we really need to invest in solar and wind, and that's what's going to fuel the future. As I said, what I want you to notice, not the specifics, not the exact numbers, not to remember what we were talking about between this and a different graph, but it's basically that this industry is growing, is going to grow, is going to get even bigger and even stronger. And we expect that you'll have the jobs to be able to do that. So I thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, you can either hit me up in the chat, or if you have something you need to ask right now, happy to try and do that. I would also mention, somebody had asked a question in the chat about how much energy is generated by solar power. I simply was trying to put in, there's a graph that I didn't, a map that I did not include in this presentation, but I had it available. And basically what it is energy, solar energy potential in the United States. The Department of Energy, the federal government has tons of really great resources for this, if you're looking sort of nationwide, but you can see sort of where in the United States have highest potential for solar, and that's just based on, you know, sun and cloud cover and expected days of sun. So that's what you see in the chat. All right, thank you all.
Daniel, before you go on, this is Bill. I'd like to make a comment to Patrick's presentation. The graphics really focused around Chicago, Northern Illinois, and realizing that we are in Southern Illinois with this presentation. The thing everybody needs to keep in mind is when you look around Southern Central Illinois, you look at coal production, and then you look at legislation within the state of Illinois taking coal-fired facilities essentially down to zero over the next 30 years. So while there is growth in Northern Illinois, the planned project within Illinois is to eliminate coal. And even though we don't have a large solar presence in Southern Illinois, it will come. So while an industry in infancy is a great place to be. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront, that Southern Illinois very much is in the mix of growing solar. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Patrick, for the presentation. And of course, thank you, Bill, for the additional information there as well. And if you do have questions for Patrick, please feel free to throw those into the chat. And of course, we will get an answer for you. Our next presenter will be Aes Solar, and I do believe that is Sharif. Please correct me if I'm saying your name wrong, but Sharif, are you available to present?
I am, and you got it perfect.
Excellent. Sharif, I have a slide on the presentation for you. I did not have a presentation, so anything that you want to cover here for folks that are on the call, please feel free to do so.
Oh, okay. Let me pull something up real quick. Well, I think on the call right now, we have Orbeck, who is the founder and chief tech of Aes Solar. And I also have Matthew Smith, who is our newest hire as a solar energy sales consultant. Let me see here. Well, I'll just talk about a little bit about the company. We were founded in 1999. Orbeck started doing solar before solar was really economically viable. You had to need it to do it. And it's been growing ever since. Today we have a headquarters and showroom in Carterville, Illinois. We have 4 functioning solar energy systems so that people can come see and touch and understand what they're going to have installed on their home or business. We have several NABSEP certifications, or has a couple, and then I have one as well. We're ICC certified to do solar installs and electric vehicles, which is a new product line we're going to be pushing people with the new legislation, the benefits and incentives for those. We're looking to grow our team. We've got all the resources, and we're set up for success and growing solar in Southern Illinois. But what I really need right now is talented people to help drive the vision the rest of the way. Mostly right now, what I'm looking for is solar energy consultants. That would be people who would take somebody coming in that wants solar for their home or business, talk them through all the details of solar, and drop a proposal with the team for them, and show them the proposal and the incentives and how it would work for them. I think as far as what we're really looking for, is somebody who is dedicated to learning solar. It's a challenge to the initial hump, and you can, in the breakout rooms, we can talk to Matt if you want about the initial shock of how challenging it can be. But it's super rewarding because of that. When you finally get it, it's an amazing thing to have. Here's the slides. Thank you, sir. I just want to make sure that I hit the high points here. Yeah, we're also a certified B Corp. With a couple commercial drone pilots on staff. We're also developing some retail sales in addition to the EV chargers. And this has been a fantastic place to work. I've been here for 2 years, and I don't want to work anywhere else. And I want to find people who can grow with us and drive what we do even further and feel the same way in a couple of years. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody in the breakout groups.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that presentation, Sharif. Much appreciated. Bill, Dana, I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to add, but Sharif, if folks do have questions for you, would that contact information there be the best way to get a hold of you to do so?
That would be it.
Excellent. Okay. And it looks like Bill is unmuted as well. So Bill, I don't know if there's anything that you would like to add.
I would. I want to acknowledge Aes Solar as a very good partner with John A. Logan Community College, and acknowledge that AES has been working very diligently in the expansion of solar in Southern Illinois. Everything that you're hearing is very true. They are indeed a good company down there, so don't be afraid to talk to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much again to Sharif and Bill, much appreciated. And again, just want to reiterate for folks that are on the call, if you do have any questions for the folks at AES, don't hesitate to drop your questions into the chat. And of course, we'll make sure that we get you an answer as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Sharif. Our next presenter, I do believe, will be Aes Solar, and I do believe that will be Paul. Paul, are you available to present?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. You can begin whenever you're ready, Paul.
Okay, so Aes Energy is my company. We are based in St. Louis, and we are growing. We've got currently 22 employees that live in both Missouri and Illinois. Obviously, with everything that's going on in Illinois right now, majority of our work is in the state of Illinois. We do expect, our employees to commute to the St. Louis office location, where we have a warehouse and offices. Right now, as you can see from the slide, we are looking for installers and electricians, both experienced and entry level. On the installer side, we strongly prefer people with roofing experience, as we do a lot of residential installations, as well as commercial. We have been in business for 10 years. And as I said, we're growing and just looking for people to add to the team. So in addition to the installers and electricians, we also have a maintenance team that does more of the maintenance side of things, commissioning systems, as well as more of the technical work of programming inverters and battery systems and things like that. We do have other opportunities from time to time. Right now, as I said, our focus is on the installer side. But if you have other skills and abilities and you're interested in working within about a 2 to 3 hour radius of the greater St. Louis area, I'd love to talk to you. Thanks.
Mr. McKnight, I do have one question. NABSEP always comes up in these discussions, whether it's PV installer, PV associate, whatever it may be. Is that an important criteria in hiring for you?
Yeah, so I don't require that people already have NABSEP when they start with me, but we do pay for people to go through the training at whatever level they are, to try to get them fully certified as either a install technician or a commissioning agent. With all the new categories that NABSEP has started, we do pay either all of the we pay for all the testing costs, and we usually split the cost of the courses, but we do provide all the on the job training that is required for those for the prerequisites.
Perfect. And then one last follow-up. You had mentioned you're a couple hours away from the southern Illinois area to St. Louis. If somebody would go to work for you and your job is, I don't know, in someplace in southern Illinois, but not in the metro area, does an employee have to go to your home office in St. Louis on a daily basis, or can they go directly to a job site?
Yeah, a lot of times we do have people go directly to the job site. We do have like the crew lead would be the one primarily responsible for loading the truck and leaving, heading out from the office. But a lot of times, yes, we do have people that live in Illinois just drive directly to the job site.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, thank you, of course, to Paul for that presentation. And of course, thank you, Bill, for that question, elaborating on as far as mobility, location, flexibility, things of that nature. So thank you both so much. And again, as I've been reiterating here, if you do have any questions for Paul regarding potential employment at EFS, please feel free to throw your questions into the chat. Of course, we'll get those answered for you. Our next presenter, I do believe, will be Shalandra with Elevate. Shalandra, are you available to present?
I am available to present, Danielle.
Excellent. You can begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm a little hoarse this morning, but we're going to keep pushing through and moving forward. So again, I am Shalandra Brooks with Elevate. I am the program manager of workforce development, and I'm going to do a presentation related to some programs as well as employment opportunities that we have available. Next slide, please. I always like to start with our mission. We design and implement programs that reduce costs, protect people and the environment, and ensure benefits of clean, efficient energy use reaches those who need it most. Next slide. Part of what we do, we prepare individuals for dynamic careers and business growth. We create ongoing pathways for success. We support diverse contractors, entrepreneurs, and small business owners, and we provide access to the clean energy economy as well. So how we do some of that work is through our solar training program, which allows individuals to go through our solar PV installation program. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide, I believe. Community-based workforce and small business development services, equity focus and program design and development, community engagement and asset development, thought leadership, workforce program delivery, and we do a lot of work on the policy side of the house. Next slide. As I previously mentioned, we do offer a solar jobs training program, which allows individuals to do some hands-on related to solar PV installation. This also includes prep for the NABSEP certification. So as you can see, the classroom training is about 40 hours and you do get 20 hours of the hands-on for the solar PV. And then we provide some of those critical wraparound services such as transportation and stipends for that program as well. Next slide. Our Contractor Accelerator program really digs into supporting minority-owned businesses that are at least a minimum of 2 years in age and that are really looking to expand their back office, get into the energy efficiency and solar market, and really just kind of reach back and support some of those individuals in communities to learn a little bit more about healthy homes. Again, part of this is also becoming an approved vendor through Illinois Solar for All. Next slide, please. As everyone may or may not know, that the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, CEJA, just recently passed. And so I just wanted to highlight a few items here. I won't go through all of the points, but part of that bill supports building an equitable clean energy future for all, holds utilities accountable, ensures affordable energy bills, and expands consumer protections, coal to solar and transitioning, fossil communities and workers, and it also creates and protects good paying carbon-free jobs. And I am happy to send additional information out related to this as well. Next slide, please. Something that we're currently doing is really just thinking about how we're actually engaging individuals who are completing our solar jobs training program. And that's Job Club, which creates a space for individuals to kind of invite employers, we invite employers into the space to present employment opportunities, just as we're doing today to students. But we're also just thinking about what are the supports and resources in the space that is needed for individuals to come back and say, hey, look, these are some things that here's a little bit of a challenge for me. I just need assistance navigating this, or I'm working and I would like to share what my employer is currently offering. So that space is there to really help students / graduates navigate the employment space. Next slide, please. Employment opportunities at Elevate. Just recently, we hired an individual from our solar training program who is now a senior associate in our outreach team. And I always encourage individuals by saying, hey, look, you go through the solar PV installation course, but there are also opportunities available where you can actually share your knowledge and not necessarily just thinking outside of the hands-on portion. So if you visit our website, you'll find that we have 9 positions, and there may be more there related to the construction space, just marketing, vendor, manager, Illinois Solar for All. So I really encourage individuals to visit our website to get a greater description of what those positions entail, and then just thinking about if you would be a good fit for those opportunities. Next slide. While Janine Adi, who is the Associate Director of Workforce Development at Elevate, is listed here on this slide, I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat so that you can feel free to reach out to me directly with any additional questions related to anything that was presented today. Thank you all for just joining, and I look forward to hearing from you all. I'll kick it back to Daniel.
Shalondra, this is Bill. Thank you for that. Those to the job seekers that are listening, there's 2 very important points that just came out of that presentation. One is that the Job Club opportunity is a very worthy endeavor. It allows you to network with other potential candidates within the solar field. It also allows you to network with employers and also in the leadership that Elevate has to offer for helping you navigate the employment process. So it is something to reach out to Elevate and utilize those resources. The second thing that really came out of that presentation is initially we saw jobs in Chicago, wind, solar, all those kinds of things. We've heard from Arch Electric out of Custer, Wisconsin. Frankly, we are in Southern Illinois right now. And while these opportunities are there, you may have to consider at some point in your career path that I need to move. So as you look at these opportunities, don't forget that they are solid opportunities. They are a way to have a career path that hopefully you're looking at as an enjoyment of a lifetime. But don't be discouraged when you're seeing these things in other parts of the state of Illinois. As CEJA was just mentioned, the shutdown with coal over the next 30 years, the increased ramp and dependency on nuclear. So it is a statewide initiative, but reach out and use those resources as they're being presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I couldn't have said it better myself. I appreciate that.
Of course, thank you so much to Shalandra for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today and obviously present all this wonderful information and these potential opportunities to folks that are tuning in. So thank you so much for that, Shalandra. And Shalandra has put her contact information into the chat as well. So if there's anything that you'd like to ask her or follow up with her on regarding any of the information she presented here today, don't hesitate to reach out to her. Shalandra, thank you so much for joining us today. Our next presenter will be Straight Up Solar, and I do believe that'll be our final presenter as well for today. Heidi, are you available to present?
Yes, I'm available. Thank you for having me. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can.
I'm assuming yes. Okay, great. I'm Heidi Shane. I am the Director of Employee Experience at Straight Up Solar. I've been at Straight Up Solar for 5 years. And before that, I was the founding executive director for the solar industry in Missouri. I'm very proud to be part of Straight Up Solar. And last year and this year, we received the St. Louis Post-Dispatch Top Places to Work. That is a third party. It's a survey that our employees are sent, and we have, we're just really proud to receive it. Next slide, please. Thanks. This is just this year's notification. Just wanted to show that to everyone. Next slide, please. Great. So within our company, as you can imagine, we hire solar installers, solar sales people, but we also have just, regular jobs like marketing, accounting. So just when you think of getting into the solar industry, it doesn't have to be in a box. If you know a company that you love, like Straight Up Solar, and know someone that wants to get out of their job and is in accounting or marketing, definitely lead them into our direction, because we are a growing industry and we have several positions that are available throughout the year. Next slide, please. Okay, so what do we look for in our field team members? Well, as you can imagine, we definitely look for a passion for the industry. We're very interested in understanding your why, your reasons for wanting to get into the industry. So if you have construction experience, roofing experience, or relatable labor experience, I just thought about the other day that people that are doing lineman jobs for cable, like those cable installers that are in the bucket trucks, there's a lot of comparable and relatable experience with that. Of course, you have to be able to get to the job. We do have a lot of individuals that meet on the job site daily. So if you can get to work and have reliable transportation, that's very important. And another thing that job seekers don't realize is if you drive for your job, then your employer needs to insure you through their insurance, and your driving record really matters. So keep a clean driving record and drive safely. And your ability to travel out of town, like a lot of installers, we travel within a certain radius. We're a 3-hour radius. Our headquarters is in St. Louis. We have an office in Bloomington, but we work within a 3-hour radius of St. Louis, which includes most of Illinois and Missouri. You have to be able to work out in the heat and cold and at heights. Sometimes it's a beautiful day like it is today, but other times it can be challenging. We always work safe and take heat up, cool down breaks and warm up. But sometimes you're just out there and it's a rough job sometimes, and it's physically demanding. Back to the physically demanding, your ability to, if you're applying for a solar installation position, you have to be able to climb ladders, lift panels, etc., and just be in really good physical condition, and or just work toward that goal. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is just specific to Straight Up Solar, but maybe not, right? So think about all the employers who are on this call. A lot of this is very transferable to their processes as well. When you apply, you make sure that you have a resume that's updated, that speaks to the reasons that you want to apply for this job. If you bus tables in high school, maybe you'd leave that off your resume, right? And list those transferable skills. For example, if you helped your uncle replace his garage roof, that's a transferable skill. You want to at least mention that in an interview, but keep that resume updated. proofread it. It really matters. Typos really show that you're not paying attention. And follow all the steps. So if we have all of our jobs listed on Indeed. So if there are assessments that are part of this job, like construction safety and that sort of thing, do them. They matter. There's a reason that we assign them. And it matters if you follow up with emails, figure out who the HR person is, give them an email, say, hi, I applied on Indeed. I'm really interested in this job. We're looking for passion. We want people that are concerned about passion for their job, and also just very interested in the environment and the climate emergency that we have. That's not a 100% requirement, but just know that Straight Up Solar is not shy from saying that we believe it's a climate emergency. We're in it to change the world, and we're very mission driven at Straight Up Solar. So interviews, most of them are virtual. Make sure you're on time, have your camera on, share your solar smile, and be willing to share your why and your experiences during the interview. Next slide. Okay, other things that are good to know. Again, for most employers, this is true. You need to be on checking your email daily and making sure you're getting back to people in a short time frame. If you're offered an interview, I say 24 to 48 hours max. You need to reply and give your availability, or at least tell them, yes, I got your email, I'm interested. There may be drug testing and background checks. We don't drug test 100%, just on prevailing wage jobs that's required. But also just be willing to have open and honest conversations about what a background check may pop up with. And I'm not talking about credit checks. That's not legal. I don't believe in the state of Illinois, and we're not interested in that. But just know that not everything that pops up on a background check is a deal breaker for us. We're very interested in social justice, and we want to talk about everyone's an individual and has their individual story. We want to hear it. And before, this is to the physicality of the job, we do for installation professionals and anyone who's in the field gets a fit for duty exam. For all those employers out there on the call, this is really a best practice. You want to make sure that the person that's applying for the job can do the job, and also just know their limitations. So we partner with a physical therapy, Athletico, and they provide a great service to us. And we send all of our new hires there for just a check-in. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is the Straight Up Solar commercial. Save the best for sort of last. We've been around for a long time, like a few of the other employers on the call. We were founded in 2006, and we serve Illinois and Missouri. We have about 2,000 installations now under our belt, and close to 90 employees, with about half of them with NABSEP certification. And we've won a few Group I programs. We're a certified B Corporation, which means that we care about the planet, people, and profit all together. We are an Amicus Solar Cooperative. It's a big deal. I won't go into it, but check it out. You can Google that. We have a workmanship warranty, and we're also working to be employee owned, which is really exciting. An employee-owned company, everyone feels like an owner. There's a lot of transparency with goals. So I'm very excited about being part of Straight Up Solar, and this is just a few things that I wanted to shout out about it. Okay, next slide. Okay, I'm not going to read these verbatim, but feel free to scroll as I'm talking. So I'll just hit some of the highlights. We have volunteer time off, 8 hours every year. That's our trash pickup on the bottom of the screen on the right. We have a 4% match, which is really nice. For our 401k, we have socially responsible funds that are part of our 401k. We have nice benefits with employee stipends for insurance, and a profit sharing bonus that's very sort of connected to our employee ownership model that we're going for. Okay, next slide, please. How to apply. Like I said, Indeed carries most of our jobs, but we do try to duplicate that on our website and keep it all updated. And you can always just send your resume and cover letter to jobs@straightupsolar.com, but don't forget your why you're interested, why solar is important to you, and and explain that in your cover letter. My contact information is there. Feel free to contact me, and I'm excited to hear from all of you. We do have a office, I wouldn't say office, but we have a crew down in Carbondale area, and we're looking to grow that area. It's very much a growing area for us as far as just market share, and we have a lot of good installations down there already that we can point you to for examples. Okay, next slide. Thank you so much. I think that's might be it.
Last slide, Heidi.
Okay, super.
Heidi, I do have a question for you, and this really applies to all the employers, but I think you can speak to it very effectively. We have moved into September, moving into October. Historically in construction, we start slowing down. And with that, how do you guys deal with installers? Do you continue to hire through the winter months, or do you just go, does the world go into a shutdown period?
No, I mean, we're always looking for good additions to the team. So I'd say if you're interested in, Straight Up Solar does not stop work. We work year round. And so we're hiring year round. I'd say there's a little bit of a slowdown around the holidays, but there's also a giant push. It's just weird situation where there's a lot of work to get done, and the end of the year is a big time, very busy time for us. So I'd say that there might be a little bit of a slowdown, like right after the holidays, first of the year, but then it's like 2 weeks. Like, it's not even worth mentioning. We're always hiring. We're always looking for good people. Mm-hmm.
Very good, thank you. The last question I'd have for you, Heidi, is as you are doing that hiring and keeping those people, we always focus on the installer role, while there are other roles. So what I'm hearing is when you're talking about sales, when you're talking about marketing, when you're talking about customer interaction, those are all skill sets that people need to develop, whether they would be NABSEP certified or not. Would that be correct?
Absolutely. It helps if you're focused, if you know the general direction you want to go, but we're also open to helping guide that conversation during an interview. A lot of people during the interview process want to know about paths for advancement. Like, okay, if I get my foot in the door as an installer, where can I go, right? And really the possibilities are endless. We've had installation individuals go to an apprenticeship program for electrical apprentice. We've had them go to sales. We've had them go to, yep, that's pretty much it. I think maybe that's the extent of it that I can think of, but that's quite a bit, you know. I guess that's what you're getting at, Bill, is that there's a lot of paths. There's growth opportunity within the company. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
It's not only that, but we tend to focus, people that go through initial training programs are trying to get into a certain field. So they're learning minimum skill sets. While we learn minimum skill sets as an entry-level position, that's not the place to stop. Every one of the companies we've talked to, AES, EFS, Straight Up, there is potential for growth. So, you know, you don't enter a program or a career path like this and say, I want to be on a roof for the next 35 years of my life. Because when you're 55, you don't want to be there. So just realize there are other skill sets that do come into play in the solar industry, and every company here acknowledges that and will help you grow in those roles. So that's where I was going.
Okay, well, I couldn't agree more. It's a great point.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, obviously, to Heidi for taking time out of your schedule to meet with us today. A lot of great information that was obviously covered there. Of course, Bill, for the follow-up questions and clarification as well. Again, I just want to reiterate that the session has been recorded today and it will be uploaded to the Illinois WorkNet YouTube channel, if not today, by tomorrow. So any of the information that was covered here today by all of our presenters will, of course, be accessible at that time. You can go back through, review all of the presentations, contact information, any of the job positions or descriptions that were available, so on and so forth, before you go ahead and kind of make those initial contacts with any potential future employers that you might have. So Bill, I want to turn things over to you to kind of make some closing or summary remarks. Before we go ahead and do so, Bill, again, I want to give a last call to any of the students or job seekers that are on the call that have any questions for our presenters today. If you do have any questions you want to ask, don't hesitate to throw them into the chat, unmute yourself, ask. Obviously, you have a prime opportunity right now to get any questions that you do have answered. So I'll go ahead and open it up to any questions that folks might have before we round out the session today.
No questions? Nothing in chat, nothing audio, video? Getting to that point, I want to take a minute and tell everybody thank you from the IGEN perspective as the program manager for the DOE Solar Energy Training Cooperative Agreement. Thank you to the employers that have taken their time today. And thank you for the advisory members for taking their time today. But mostly thank you to everybody that is seeking a career path. Do not be discouraged. You are in a program, a career path, life adventure, in a career that is very much in its infancy. This is a chance with legislation to take advantage of training, to take advantage of new ideas, and to embrace where we're going. By 2050, we are going to be, net zero, and everything in Southern Illinois is wide open. There's great opportunity, not only sales, not only installations. There is great opportunity to grow it. You see what's happening in Northern Illinois. There's no reason it can't happen throughout the state. This initiative is throughout the state. If you need to think about a commute, think about it. If you need to think about relocating, nobody wants to do that. But there is opportunity. You've heard of Custer, Wisconsin today. There's companies that have been in Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, throughout our Midwest region. So be excited about the career path and where the government is going and where we are going as a society. And good luck, and thank you again to everybody. Daniel, thank you for hosting all of these. We deeply appreciate your efforts.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill. Much appreciated. And again, just like to say a huge thank you to the employers and of course the advisory members, of course the folks at IGEN, and last but not least, the students and job seekers that are on the call. Of course, we hope that these sessions were fruitful for you. Hope it leads you to your next career path or opportunity. Again, just want to highlight, session has been recorded. Be on the lookout for it on the Illinois WorkNet YouTube channel under the virtual job fairs playlist, where you'll be able to view all the videos from the session, not just today, but our prior sessions as well.
Daniel, we do have one question in chat. Heidi, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here, of course.
Okay, there's a question in chat. Does Straight Up Solar have a relocation package?
Sure. So I think we take all of those on an individual basis. So yes, we do sometimes offer a stipend for relocation.
Very good. Thank you, Heidi. Daniel, I apologize.
Oh, no worries, Bill. I saw that question in the chat there as well. Again, I know we've already made a last call, but if there are any last minute questions that you do have, we'll go ahead and give you maybe about 30 seconds or so to enter any questions that you have into the chat before we officially close out the session. So if you do have any last minute questions, don't hesitate to ask. Again, if there's any directed questions, if you will, that you would like to ask any of the presenters today, I do believe most of them provided their contact information either in the chat or on the slides that will be obviously on the recording as well. So looks like one
lastly-
additional question, for
Yeah.
Heidi again.
Okay.
And Heidi, the question is straight up solar question. What opportunities are in Carbondale?
Well, we have installation opportunities, service. We're looking for someone who does solar service down there because we have systems that we need to take care of down there. And in the, I'd say, winter, early spring sales, we'd be hiring some sales down there as well. So pretty much all the positions, except all the field type of positions, we would be interested in talking to people that are in Carbondale or located there. Yep.
Excellent. Any other questions before we close out the session today? And again, for the individual asking those last two questions, you'll see Heidi's contact infos on the screen as well. So if you do have any questions that are, directed more specifically to, straight up solar, do not hesitate to reach out to her as well. I'm sure that's why she kindly provided her contact info. Excellent. Well, if there are no more questions, I do believe we'll go ahead and close out this session. Thank you to everybody on the call. Much appreciated. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.